Hey there, garden friends, it's Heather at Bush Poppy Farm. Today, just getting a whole bunch of stuff done both at the farm, the home farm, and at the ranch, starting with planting dahlias at the ranch. So come join me. So planting dahlias today at the ranch. I already planted dahlias out at the home farm, but I didn't film that process. So I just wanted to show you guys what I'm doing here. I have my tray of dahlias. You can see how big they are. These were pre-sprouted and it took a couple of weeks, and the tubers put on their first big bursts of growth, which is great because it lets me know for sure they are viable. They will produce, they're alive. They're not like squishy and moldy and I shouldn't be planting them. So it's a great way to determine that, is to pre-sprout them. And then I have my prepared bed over here. We've been super fortunate. It's very rare for us to get this kind of rain in mid to late April, because usually we've moved into our dry season. But last night, all day yesterday, it rained. We got about a quarter inch of rain. Starting tomorrow, we're going to get another quarter to a half inch of rain. Monday, we may get up to an inch, and on the following Thursday, we could get another storm. So it's such good news. I haven't finished all of my irrigation out here, but now I don't feel rushed to do that because the ground is going to be nicely saturated and things are going to do really well. So I'm still going to get the irrigation done, obviously, before the summer sets in and everything is hot and dry, but it's nice to have a little extra time on that. So these are the prepared beds here at the ranch. There is native soil underneath, and then about 2 to 3 inches of compost on top. And I have straw in the aisles and the pathways. And so I am planting my dahlias every 12 inches, but so because there's 4 rows of drip here, what I'm doing is to keep them spaced properly, I'm having a kind of a staggered system. So I'll have 2 at 12 inches apart, and then on the next 12 inch down, 2 over here, and then 2 over here, and 2 over here. So it's like every other, so that I can keep that staggered spacing. And then just like the home farm, I'm going to be putting sunflowers in between where there are not dahlias every 6 inches. And so those sunflowers will come up here fast, and this soil is really rich and really good. The soil test is amazing. I'm super excited about that. So, and there's a lot of phosphorus in this native soil. Phosphorus is essential for lots of blooms, and so that is amazing. I won't have to add anything to help the flowers bloom, and I should get really good blooming here on the farm. So next step, putting them in the ground. So you can see how I've got them laid out on the ground. This is to help me with planting, because I tend to forget where I put them if they don't already have sprouts on them. So they're laid out now. And then what I'm going to do is just come along for each one. I will dig my hole. And then in each hole, I'm putting a little bit of bone meal. That bone meal is going to help with root development, which is what we really want. We want it to get nice, strong roots. And then I just cover it up. So I'm going to continue to do that for this whole row. Well, not the whole row, but where I have dahlias. And I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, so, sorry, very loud. That row is planted with dahlias. Not completely. There's ageratum right here in the front. But from there, where all these tags are, all the way back to about right here is dahlias. There will be, every 6 inches in here, there will be sunflowers. And then behind here, this is a very different plan than I originally had. I will probably put all of the grasses, all the ornamental grasses will probably go right in here. There will be a nice addition here, but I need the filler. So yeah, so this will probably be all ornamental grasses. And then these other 2 beds, I have marked for zinnias and celosia and gomphrena and all other manner of flowers. Speaking of all other manner of flowers, I'm going to lay out the beds for the this other side that Griffin flattened for me today with just stakes and string line. I need to get a really good idea of, you know, how much I can fit in here so that I can go ahead and order the compost that I'm going to need. This soil, again, is really good, the native soil, but I am still going to put 2 inches of compost here as like the base, starting to put all the seedlings in, and then they will reach the native soil and they'll do great. So that is my plan for right now. I'm going to lay out these beds. Oh my goodness, y'all. I totally did not expect this. Way more space than I ever thought I would have here. This is 4 beds. I only thought I was going to get 3 in here. 4 beds that are 3 feet wide, 38 feet long. Kind of hard for, you know, standardizing some of the things that I have, because most of my beds are 40 feet long, but that's okay. 2 feet extra of row cover or netting, not a big deal. I just am so happy with this. This space right here is 1 bed more than what I have at my home farm. So basically I have tripled what I have at my home farm, which means that my production could potentially triple, and that is super, super exciting. Last year I was able to get you know, a CSA, running a CSA off of my home farm, which felt like a lot, and I was super excited about that. And this year I wanted to add a whole lot more in terms of offerings for flowers, not just CSA, but to sell out here at a farm stand weekly, and I'm going to be able to do it so long as I can actually produce everything. And that just means I need to start way more seeds. I can probably have 3 or 4 successions of some things where I thought I was only going to have 1 or 2. So this is very exciting. I need to go build a new plan now. And now I also know how much compost I need to order to add to the top of these beds. And, you know, you could see in some of the beds, there's, you know, weeds and stuff growing. So I'll come in and I'll weed whack that, and then we'll apply the compost and then straw in the aisles like in the other. And these are actually 2-foot wide aisles, whereas up the hill here I have 18-inch wide, so it's kind of a luxury. Yes, I probably could have made these 18 inches and then maybe squeezed in a 5th row, but I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of extra space. And then there's also this spot right here that you know, I don't have a bed on, and so that will be great because I can have extra space if I want to do any specific plantings. Probably this year, because it's extra space, I'll just do a whole bunch of pumpkins because I want to do those anyway. So I'll just put big mounds of compost, extra compost, and I will just plant directly into the compost. I mean, I'll mix in some native soil too because I don't want it to be too rich, but yeah, that's going to be super, super fun, exciting, and I'm actually really happy that I got that project done today. So I think now I'm going to probably head home soon and eat. I'm really hungry, and I wasn't feeling well this morning, so probably not good to go without food for too long. But I do have a shelving unit that I need to get put together in the greenhouse. So maybe tomorrow. It's going to be dumping rain though tomorrow, which is awesome. And because the greenhouse is missing some glass, it's actually wet in here when it's raining. Not terribly. It's not, you know, the whole thing doesn't leak. But also really quick, I just wanted to show you these lilies. Oh my goodness, look at these lilies. They're enormous and they have buds. All of them have flower buds. We are going to have lilies very soon, probably just in time for Mother's Day, which is amazing. Last year I had nothing for Mother's Day, nothing other than my CSA, so I didn't have anything extra to offer. This year we're going to have lilies, potted dahlias, and hopefully also some bouquets. So I think I'm going to head home. I'm really hungry and it's after 12 and it's getting warm, and all I have is this super thick sweatshirt. It's my Bush Poppy Farm shirt. We actually do have these in the merch section on the website, if you're so inclined. So I'm gonna go on and get home, get some food, and then I'll have some extra stuff that I'll post in here today. I think what I'm gonna be doing is cleaning out the tulip bed at home, adding compost to the top, and then planting all of my cucumbers. They are busting out of their pots, and they'll start to suffer soon if I don't get them planted. So I think that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. I won't even have to worry about watering them in. The soil is saturated and we're going to get more rain tomorrow. Back at the home farm, just had some lunch. I'm going to get this bed prepped. I just have to remove. Yes, I know they're still really pretty, but it's time to go. I can't put those in bouquets. And I can't really put these in bouquets either. Oh my goodness. Is that not glorious? However, these guys are just now coming up. So those will be next week's bouquets. But all the rest of these, I haven't pulled them yet because I don't need the bed just yet. And oh, they're so pretty. I just love looking at them. So I'm going to set this bed up by pulling the rest of the tulips. I'm going to pull out temporarily the drip irrigation that's in there. I'm going to put a bag of compost on top. I kind of always refresh my beds. You know, you've had stuff growing in them over the winter and it just gives a burst of nutrients. And then I'm going to pop in a bunch of cucumbers. I've got 12 out here to start, I believe. And I think I'm going to put the trellis up as well so that they can climb. That'll give me more space to add more in this bed. So let's get started. So there we have it. I planted both zucchinis and cucumbers. So in the middle here, let me get you around the sun for the tags. So this row here is early straight neck squash. It's a yellow zucchini. This is Dunja zucchini. I've never grown it before. Over here is Nokia cucumber and Piccolino cucumber. Now the cucumbers will climb. You might wonder why on earth I put the zucchini in a place where they're going to get shaded out. Well, a couple reasons. One, they are much further along than the cucumbers. In fact, there are flower buds on some of them. So the zucchini is going to get much bigger faster than the cucumbers. And the second reason is, in the summertime here, it is not uncommon for us to be in the upper 90s and multiple times in the triple digits. And when you have 100+ degree days, I mean, we've gotten up to 108, 110, the zucchinis especially just wilt. They go flat. Having some afternoon shade really helps keep them in better shape. It helps them keep producing. So they like the heat, but not too much heat. Cucumbers really like the heat. And they tend to not wilt as much for me in the strong heat. So they will climb this trellis. This is the A-frame Titan trellis from Gardener Supply. Supposed to be very wind resistant. I have it pushed down quite a ways into the soil. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to get rain tonight, and then again a day later, well, 2 days later, and then 3 or 4 days later. So that should really help these guys root in well. It's fresh compost. There's plenty of nutrition in there for them, and so I'm excited about that. These guys over here, look at this, doing great. Potatoes, I need to hill those up soon. That just means bringing the soil around the base of the plant to make sure no potatoes start getting light, because then they'll turn yellow and produce toxin that you can't eat. But the peas, doing great. We're gonna have tons and tons of peas. I need to keep coming out here and pulling the spurge out where I find it. It's these little guys here. Not a big deal, but I just don't want anything competing with the peas. And then I also need to keep convincing the peas to climb by wrapping them, because we get a lot of wind, and then they get floppy. But once they start to grab, like these guys over here, then they do a great job of climbing this trellis. It'll be completely covered soon. So the last thing I'm going to do for these two beds, especially the zucchini and cucumber one, is plant. I always plant marigolds, interspace them through there, especially with tomatoes. But then I also put nasturtiums all around the edge of the bed. Number one, I love it. They're so pretty. It looks lovely. Nasturtium are edible. You can put them in salads, eat them fresh. You can decorate with them. They're beautiful. But also they act as, the same with the marigolds, they act as sacrificial lambs. Basically, any pests that you might get will attack those plants before they go for your crops. So I always like to do that. Plus it makes it look pretty. You can always grow flowers with vegetables. Lisa Mason Ziegler has a great book called Vegetables Love Flowers, and it's all about growing flowers in your veggie plot with your veggies. And so she talks about interesting match-ups there, companion planting. Sweet alyssum, which is one of the plants that I grow in my cottage garden, that's another great one for veggie beds because it attracts a parasitoid wasp which eats some of the tomato hornworm. So if you have hornworm issues with your tomatoes, try planting some sweet alyssum around them. Number one, it'll look pretty, smells good too. Sweet alyssum smells like honey, but maybe it will do its job and keep the hornworms away for you. Anyway, I have a lot more work to do today. There's plenty more hours of sun, but at this point I need to go pick up my kids at school. So I think I'm just going to call it a day. Tomorrow it's supposed to be raining at least for the first half of the day. Oh, there's a turkey across the street. I hope he does not get hit by a car. He's a big guy. People around here are pretty good. They usually stop for them. See if you can see him crossing the street over there. I don't know, let me see if I can zoom in. He's just ambling into my neighbor's, into my neighbor's driveway. Aw. I hope he's okay. Stays safe away from the cars. Anyway, tomorrow, since it's going to be pouring rain for the first half of the day, sorry, my nose is running, allergies, springtime. I'm going to be in the greenhouse because I have tons of seeds to sow. Oh, and I have something else to show you, I just noticed too. So I have tons of seeds to sow, and I'm just going to do that, and I have bumping up to do and everything, so I'll just do that in the greenhouse. When it's raining, it doesn't matter. But this is what I want to show you. I just looked over at the roses, and in the garden tour video, I showed you that I had tons of aphids on these roses, and so I did a major pruning. I just cut the branches off that had most of the aphids, but there were still a number of aphids, and look who we have now. So these lovely guys and gals doing their jobs. They showed up because I have food for them. I see like 5 or 6 of them on here. So, you know, ladybugs, there's another one right there. Love seeing that. They're probably having such a feast. So ladybugs are, there's another one. Ladybugs love aphids. And you can buy ladybugs in the store. I'm sure you've seen them in lots of, you know, garden stores and stuff, garden centers. But they tend to not stick around, especially once they eat up all of the aphids. They're just going to fly away. They don't like make a home in your garden. I find that I don't ever have to buy them because they just show up. They find out where the aphids are, and they show up. So I love seeing this in my garden. This is another benefit of never using pesticides. I know that nothing in this garden is going to hurt these little guys, and they're going to take care of the problem for me. And this is another way of talking about integrated pest management, IPM, which is, you can do all kinds of research on that, and it is a great way to go. Any kind of chemical deterrent is the very last resort. So this is the one that had all of the aphids, and I've cut off most of those branches, but there's still plenty of smorgasbord here. See, there's a bunch of aphids right there. That little one will get them, and this one too. And the bees are out too. I can hear them humming at me in the tulips behind me, which is another reason I'm going to leave the tulips up for a while. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you have a wonderful time in your garden, wherever that may be, and I'll see you next time. Bye.